Hello everyone. It's been a while. Specifically, it's been a year since the last video on this channel. In today's video, I'm going to explain everything that has gone in the past year. I'm going to be explaining in detail a lot. So, without further ado, strap in, because this is going to be a very informational video. So, let's talk. Obviously, the immediate thing to know is why no videos on this channel. It's been a year. As you guys know, I made a video at the end of last year talking about basically what's been going on during that year of my life and why it has affected content. This video was going to be very similar. However, that video left a lot of empty promises, and I will get into all of that, starting with why no videos on this channel in the past year. Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but I do not own this channel. This channel was created a long time ago by Minty, which he also, funny enough, he also does not own the account. This was not really brought to my attention until obviously it happened, but basically because I'm not the owner of this account and I'm the one who mainstreams content. If I'm not the owner of the account, that makes it very unsafe for my sake. And then on top of that, Minty, it doesn't really own the account either. So it makes it very tricky to make content, because if neither of us own the account, if something happens to it, we have absolutely no control over that. So, that being said, content was completely shifted and moved, at least filming was moved to a different channel, which I will get into that a little later. So yeah, long story short, I don't own the account, Minty doesn't own the account, therefore I stopped posting films on this channel, because I am back in charge of making films. I know beforehand Minty made films, so it was a little bit easier for him to use an account that he somewhat had control over, but he doesn't really have control over that account, this channel specifically. So now that I'm back in charge of making the films, I shifted back to an account that I fully have authority over, because that just makes sense. It's my content. Anyways, during that video that I made last year, I had mentioned gaming content, and there has been a slow push of gaming content. You can go to the NATO Games channel. We were supposed to have a God of War Ragnarok series. CC fumbled the bag on that. More on CC later, because he is a common trope to topic in this video, but he fumbled the bag on that series. He then was supposed to make a Security Breach Ruin series, fumbled the bag on that. So then I came back and made a FNAF video, because obviously FNAF is a big part of not only my but a lot of the people on the team's childhood. We used to go by BW, obviously we're NATO now, but we used to go by BW, which meant Bonnie's World, Bonnie being my online identity. So obviously with that change, that doesn't really matter, but as new FNAF content comes out, we will make series over it, or we will make videos over it and cover it. So I revisited FNAF 1 just in time for the FNAF movie. After that, I'm currently working on a series for the game The Last of Us. It's a game I have not played, so it's a very anticipated series of mine. I'm working on it. Minty is currently working on a FNAF Help Wanted 2 series, and Lacaden has been recording a Spider-Man 2 series, and so there's been a slow push to gaming content. It hasn't been very prominent, and a good portion of the year there was just pretty much nothing there. Kind of towards the end of the year is where obviously Spider-Man 2 came out. I started posting the FNAF content, Minty's posting FNAF content, and I just started recording The Last of Us. So a lot of the content again started coming out later pretty much at the end of the year, the last couple months of the year. So there's been a very slow push, but we've been kind of on a bit of a pace, right? I'm doing a series, Minty's doing a series, Lacaden's doing a series. So there's content. So if you want to go check that out, go to the NATO Games channel. But with that being said, there's been a slow push, but we've been trying nonetheless. I know I said we would kind of do that over filming. That didn't really end up happening, just because there's been a slow push to it. And then what brings me to my next point, main storyline films have also been very, very scarce in this last year. So if you head on over to the official NATO Productions channel, this is NATO Productions bonus. If you head over to NATO Productions, you will be able to see our films and the Swift Life series. All of that is being put on that channel. Our main role plays and our films will be put on NATO Productions moving forward. So make sure you have that. Make sure you know that. If you know anyone that follows us, make sure you tell them. The bonus channel will not go to waste. It will be used to put extra content, like we'll post shorts here, behind the scenes bloopers. We'll put that all on the bonus channel, just so this channel isn't just lost and isn't being used at all. But that's basically where we're sitting kind of right now with all of that. Currently, main storyline films. So we have been at a bit of an odds with main storyline films, because obviously Chapter 4 was not very good for filming, because the Fortnite story just kind of went really dry during Chapter 4, and then is pretty much non-existent after Chapter 4. And obviously main storyline films we work heavily off of what happens in the Fortnite storyline. So if nothing's happening in the Fortnite storyline, we can't really do anything. But I'll talk about that a little later. But we have still done filming. We have all of that published on NATO Productions. It's been a very slow and painful process of trying to get to filming, but we have 2 films that both are going over the storyline of this chapter, with 2 more coming out, which will make 4. One that runs through Season OG and whatnot. So yeah, go check them out. The Last Resort film, which obviously goes over Season 4 of Chapter 4, that one is next. if it's not already out by the time of this video coming out, which it probably won't be because it's like heavily in production. For this particular film and the next film, I've gone with a whole new angle of filming. I've completely changed up the way I film. It looks sharper, it looks crispier, the edits are going to be better, but it takes a lot more work and a lot more patience because I have to go out and do a lot. I have to go out of my way a lot more than I had to before, which I will obviously, cover that. Which, you know what, I'll go ahead and cover that now. Basically, I basically just have a whole new system of how I film. So it's very difficult and it's very time consuming, which is why it's going to take a lot longer for films to be done, but they will be better as a result, which is good. And I'm still on PS4, so like I don't even have all the fancy PS5 graphics and whatnot. I'm still working off a PS4, so unfortunate, but it is what it is. And speaking of main storyline films, why am I the director again? Well, obviously I directed the story before Minty took over during Chapter 2, Season 7. Before that, I ran all of the films, I did the story. In fact, the story wasn't scripted. Before Chapter 2, Season 7, the story wasn't even scripted. It was all improv. But when Minty took over, I had to make scripts for the series, and even though I'm back in charge, I still make scripts for the story because it's just better for everyone. It was a great quality of life change that I made back in Chapter 2, Season 7, and it's just something that I still run with even today. Even though I'm the one who directs the films, it still is just better, obviously. People who work off script and on script, you would see the difference. So Minty obviously was very burned out by the time of, I think it was Chapter 3, because we would work very hard, because during that time, I kind of touched on it in the last video, but during that time it was very difficult to film because I was not able to be on nearly as much, so it was very difficult for them to film to begin with. So it was very stressful for Minty because all of that just got dumped on him, and after a while it really started to take a toll on him. So when I finally was back and I'm good and I was good again, I made the executive decision to have him step down and me back into that position, because I'm a little bit more passionate about it anyways, and I'm willing to fight through the difficulties a lot better than he did. It was definitely something that I could handle and have more of a grasp on, especially the process I'm doing now. It's a nightmare, but because I have such a great passion for this, it's something I'm still willing to do. Which brings me to my next point, which is my motivation and a little bit of background on stuff that's been going on in my life. So after the video, a good way to put it is that obviously I'm the director. I basically oversee what all gets done. I'm basically the person who pushes for the content and whatnot. I'm the guy. I'm that guy. So, like 4 days after I made that video, the video that was last year, I had gotten into a relationship with somebody, and it was my first relationship. If you saw the mega return, for those who watched the Mega Return film, because it still has a lot of views, which means obviously some of our fans still saw it. If you saw the Mega Return film bloopers, I mentioned her multiple times in that video. It's not on the channel anymore because all the bloopers content is going to be put on this channel moving forward. So if you didn't get a chance to see the bloopers, you're out of luck. It's not going to be moved to this channel. But yeah, I mentioned her a couple of times. Our relationship was good at the beginning. It quickly became very draining, it was never toxic, but it became very mentally draining because she had problems and I always just wanted to help her, and it caused it became very draining for me personally, because when you're dealing with someone like that, I don't know if anyone has experience who's watching this video, but if you're dealing with something like that, it becomes very draining on your part, even if you don't realize it at first. Eventually that will take a toll on your, mental health. So it's always good to keep yourself first before you worry about someone else, which I was not doing in this scenario. I was just worrying about her and not worrying about the toll it was taking on me. So eventually, when our relationship ended, it left me in a horrible place mentally. It left me in a horrible place. So I was like really messed up. So obviously everything took a hit. My motivation took a hit. I was still doing good in school, but my performance in school took a hit because obviously I'm in high school. My performance in school took a hit. My performance in role-playing, filming, all of that, it all took a hit. I took a massive step back in like all of summer break. I just was broken, and it just, like, I'm still recovering. Which this is more of a story I should share when I know I'm recovered, but this is something that I more or less need to convey now because it's important to anyone. It's important to anyone to know to watch out for things like that, but also it's very relevant to the situation. Because that obviously impacted the production of everything. Like, not only being in the relationship delayed a lot of things because I obviously went back to not being around as much because I just wanted to be around her. It was my first relationship, stuff like that, If you know, you know. But I just wanted to be around her, and I just wanted to help her, and that was taking a toll on me, and I didn't even know. So it delayed everything, just being in the relationship, which lasted 3 months. That delayed a lot of things, like a quarter of the year already. And then, when we broke up, I was even worse off for another 3 months over the summer break. So that's now half of the year. And then once I began to recover, which I wouldn't even say is until like maybe a couple months ago, is when I really started to begin to try to recover, because obviously when you're in a situation like that and someone that in your mind means everything to you, you don't want to lose them. So even after you see the decline, part of you will never accept it. And that kind of was the situation I was in for like 6 months. So that, I wouldn't say that's a direct reason, or it's a direct reason, but it's not a massive cause. For the 3 months that I was in the relationship, that certainly delayed things. That 100% delayed things. But afterwards, I still, I still fought through it and still, got things done. But it was at a lot slower of a pace. So what that really did was slow things down, put a lot of delays on things. But in terms of some of the stuff that was announced the last year, like Tunified and Marvelous and Worthy, all of those series just got they just had to be canceled because Tunified and Marvelous Duke was going to be directing those. Duke is someone who's on the team, but he wasn't taking it very seriously, and I had gotten voice actors and I had gotten all this stuff prepared for him, and all he had to do at the end of the day was write the scripts and prepare himself skillfully in replay mode, which he made a couple scripts, didn't really do anything with replay mode. So eventually I made the executive decision, like, I'm not going to keep these voice actors waiting, so I decided to cancel the project as a whole, which he was very upset about, but, when he was upset about it, obviously, and whatnot. Later, Tunified got canceled, and he pretty much didn't care, but he was very passionate. He was very passionate about Marvelous, but he didn't reflect it in his work. So obviously that's a massive imbalance. So that's just a risk you don't typically want to take, especially when you're a non-profit. When you're non-profit and you're trying to, make a name for yourself, and you're trying to do what we're doing, it's a risk that I decided to not take. And I still don't regret not taking it at that time. I don't think he was ready at that time. So I decided to cancel it. But I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, another thing. So yeah, the relationship stuff. All that did was tank my motivation, but I still, fought through it. So a lot of that tanked my motivation. At the beginning of the next school year, which is the current school year, this is my senior year, so full stop, this is it. This is my senior year, whatnot. I still till this day, because I have to see her, because she goes to my school, I have to see her every day at school. I still feel weird seeing her. Like, it's not something I can really explain, or I guess I can try to explain it to the best of my ability. My gut gets really tight and whatnot every time I see her, is pretty much the best way I can describe that. But when I first started out the school year, it was even worse. It's kind of not that bad anymore, but it was really bad at the beginning of the school year, because I was still coming off of the summer break, at which I didn't really do a whole lot besides work, which, yeah, I have a job. I don't know if I ever explained that, but I do. Yeah, because in the last video that I posted at the end of last year, I didn't explain that because I didn't have a job at the time, but I do have a job. So over the summer break, all I did was a lot of just working and trying to slowly build towards this, and that was pretty much it. Obviously, now that I'm back in school, it gives me a lot more to focus on. But aside from, obviously family issues and whatnot, that was by far the biggest thing that tanked my motivation, at least at that time. But, I'm not gonna dig too deep into that particular situation. and the other causes of the decline in my motivation, but I will talk about the team's motivation and what has happened on the team. The team, obviously, they were there to support me 120% through everything that I was going through. They were there to support me 120% of the time. I would have late night talks with them. They would just be there. They were always in my corner. They've always been in my corner for as long as I've done this and as long as I've known them. For the most part, they've always been in my corner and support me through thick and thin, which is something that I, will never take for granted, something that I will never forget that they do for me. So as far as the team goes, during that time, it was just a lot more gloomy because I personally was a lot more gloomy. So and I was always the hype man, I was always like, all right guys, we're gonna do this, and yeah, I was like the guy who set the mood really. So if my vibe was off, everyone else's vibe was off, which was very unfortunate for that time. But obviously we got through it. If you guys have, I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you've watched any recent content on Lacaden or Duke's personal channels, or Minty evens, but this is something that wasn't obviously announced, but Kirby is back with us. I don't remember if I announced. I think I mentioned in the last video that he was gone, but he's back with us. He's back with us. He just recently came back, so he's back. That's kind of a really minor thing, but he's back, and he's actually voicing Kato Thorne, the main antagonist of the next film. What else? Recently, this has been kind of more of a recent thing. CC hasn't been around as much. You'll hear me mention in my bloopers video that I'm making for the Last Resort film. There's a bloopers video that I'm done making for that. It's fully done, but I'm actually still not done with the film itself. I'm done with the bloopers though, so that will go up on this channel sometime after the main film goes up on the productions channel. But CC, there's a lot with him that I want to keep things respectful and not try to push too much of my opinion of the situation into this video, because all it is it's just going to create unneeded drama. But he's not really been around. He's just not really been around. It's a mixture between him being busy and whatnot, and he's just not been around. Again, not really my place to tell his business, so he's just not been around. But moving off of that, by far the hardest thing that I had to explain was, the real problems that I was facing in my experience. So with that all out of the way, moving forward, what are we doing moving forward? Well, like I said, there's going to be a film that's going to be called Last Resort. It's going to be based off of the Chapter 4, Season 4 season of Fortnite. That's part of the story. Then there's going to be another film called The Big Bang. It's going to be based off of, you know, what was going on in Fortnite OG and whatnot, ending with obviously the Big Bang event. And then after that, main storyline films are really going to take a backseat, because if anyone who follows the Fortnite storyline, you would see that the storyline basically isn't really there anymore. Like, the Big Bang pretty much killed the Fortnite storyline. Like, there's a little bit of story, like a tiny bit that's happening right now in Chapter 5 with the society and the underground, but it just keeps feeling like the underground and the society truly feels like a carbon copy of the Alter and Ego situation. Alter having control over the island, they have control of all these locations, and then Ego, the underdogs, who are just going around, you know, trying to undermine Alter. Like, that kind of a similar situation's happening with the underground and the society. So, with that being said, and this is official, I've put in a lot of thought into this, and there's obviously been a couple of times where I almost ended the main storyline films as a whole. But in terms of the main storyline films, after Big Bang, they will take a backseat. I'm not saying it's over. I'm just saying that there will be a lot less main storyline films, and that means that there's going to be something that's going to be taking the place of main storyline films. So for a very long time, you know, back last year, there was a lot of announcements of series that got canceled. One of those that I mentioned was Marvelous. I mentioned in this video that it got canceled. Marvelous is being reworked to be more like a cinematic universe. Like, it can be basically kind of like what Marvel itself is doing. Marvelous is going to kind of be not like a direct series, but more of its own standalone thing. Like, it's gonna be completely new territory for us, but Marvelous is gonna kind of be its own thing. Like, kind of like how the Life series, the Life series is a really good example, but the Life series has multiple series. It doesn't have a direct, like, focus, right? It has a direct focus. It has an overall storyline, but it's broken up into all these series. That's what Marvelous is kind of going to be like. It's going to have different series focusing on different aspects of the story, and then we'll do special presentations. This is my vision. We'll do series that'll cover different parts of the story. Then we'll do special presentations that will be kind of like movies, and we'll bring these characters together and kind of, you know, tie up loose ends that are happening amongst the series. It's going to be really difficult to do, and it's going to be really hard to pull off, but that's the vision of what we plan to do moving forward. And we're going to do a similar thing with a series. We're going to do a similar thing with Absolute Justice, which I announced again last year, where it's basically going to be like Marvelous, but for DC. And all of this is going to take place inside of Fortnite. We're going to build maps, we're going to get voice actors, and we're going to do it. When? I don't know. All of this is up in the air. It's more of a vision rather than an announcement. I'm just letting you guys know where we're headed on the road, because obviously I'm a senior in high school. I am going to be going to college next year, or this year, since this is coming out on New Year's. This year I'm going to be going to college this year. So how that will look in terms of what I do with the channels is very much up in the air. I could. I mean, the future of the channels is very up in the air. I could have to completely stop making content. I could maybe do some content on the side. I don't know. It's all up in the air. It's all up to time. It's all like time will tell kind of deal. So the future of the channels, it's all up in the air. In terms of filming, gaming content, obviously the rest of the guys, they can still make gaming content even while I'm in college. They're not near college, so they can still make gaming content. I just might not be able to, which I hope is what's going to, like, if that is going to happen, I can't make content. Hopefully they will be able to pick up the mantle and make content. I don't know though, because obviously this team has always been ran by me, and I've always been the director, the head of everything. So once that is gone, they might just be headless chickens running around, and ultimately it might just have to come to a close. I don't know though. Only time will tell. My future as a content creator, obviously you guys know I have my own channel. I have not posted anything to it because I'm saving that. I'm saving that for another time. I'm saving my like privatized channel that's specifically for me. I'm saving that for another time. Right now I'm focusing on the team stuff. While that is more of a personal thing, if I like make personal content, that will be content that's just like my personalized content. A lot of the guys, a lot of their personalized content is their different life series, but mine is going to be, my channel is going to work completely different. What I might do is I might post vlogs while I'm in college, so you guys can see my journey even beyond what's going on now. So that's kind of, again, my vision. All of this can change, just like everything in just a year. You know, so much has changed. So for this new year, which is also the title of this video, I'm really going to try to be better for myself, for the content, for everyone around me. It's good to always try to improve, and so I'm going to keep trying to improve. I improved a lot over this year, which, you know, stuff I won't get into, but I'm going to keep trying to grow because, you know, I have big visions, and I obviously want to fulfill as much as I can. Yeah, the team's future, it's still, once again, kind of up in the air. It all depends on what they do after I am in college, which, obviously, we will talk about that. So yeah, I'm going to run back over what is planned. What we have planned is the Marvelous series, the Marvelous and the Absolute Justice, those kind of standalone universes that are going to be films, basically taking the place of the main storyline filming. But main storyline films aren't going to be gone. They're going to take a back seat. We might make a film or two if the story is actually cooking anything, because right now it's not. Right now it's in the freezer. But if the story decides to cook at all, we will make content over it. There's also 2 film series that my friend Minty and me had came up with. One is called What If. I remember announcing that a really long time ago. I announced the What If series a really long time ago. The funny thing about that is that Cece was supposed to direct that series, but as we figured out in the past 2 years, That's not going to happen. So if What If doesn't get canceled, I will be the one who directs the What If series. But again, that's kind of up in the air. It's on our planning board, but it's something that can be subject to change. Everything on here can be subject to change. So there's the What If series. Minty came up with a series called Origins, which it basically will cover. This is more of a series that's dedicated to the lore of the Life series, because the Life series is a vast story. It's been spanning over like 5 years, so it's a big story. Life series spans across it's bigger than anything that we've ever done. Main storyline obviously was very linear, it was very straightforward, but Life series, it spans across multiple channels, multiple series. It spans across multiple series, across multiple channels, all of which, and it's all being ran, of course, by me. Like, I make the overall story of the Life series, and the Life series isn't scripted. It's all just me. It's all just me cooking the story, and us and them as the characters being a part of the story, altering it in what ways, me going around there, and whatnot. So Life series is a lot more vast, and it's very confusing at times because of how big it is. So what Origins will be able to do is it will be able to take certain characters, certain big characters that are, big names in the Life series, Deadeye, Kingpin, all of this will be completely foreign if you guys don't watch Life series, which it's not something we promote because Life series is more of a thing that we just kind of do for fun. It's not really a professional thing, because if you look back at old Dire Life episodes and when we were young and but Life series, it's more of something that we just do because it's fun for us, and it sharpens our skills as role players, especially since most of us are voice actors for the characters in main storyline. So yeah. But yeah, some of the bigger names in Life series their backstories will get fully explained, because obviously there are hours and hours and hours, thousands even, of hours of Life series content that you would just never, well, maybe not thousands, hundreds and hundreds of hours of Life series that you would have to watch in order to maybe understand what's going on in the story. And you could always just jump in, because it's always just a fun thing to just watch. I mean, I obviously I watch a lot of everyone's episodes because I'm proud of my work and I'm proud of what they do with their characters. Even if, like, I jump in at a random time in a random season, I'm like, what's going on here? It can be confusing. I know. So what the Origin series will do is it will provide that clarity to basically everyone. Everyone being us, because obviously even they don't know the full backstories of these characters, because obviously only I do, because I write the story. They wouldn't even know. So what the Origin series will do is give clarity to any viewers that are just curious. The Life series characters themselves, like obviously, Minty, Lacada, Duke, Kirby, whatnot, the people that the actors that play the characters, that'll give clarity to them so they know the backstories. And just because it's a fun little project that, I also, want to play around with, because it gives me the space to fully tell the stories of these characters, these big names that everyone here at the team loves, because we spent so much time with them building their characters, and them getting to see their characters get built by me, and whatnot. So it really, it's a fun idea. So that's one of the things on our list Again, it can be subject to change. And that's pretty much all that we have in terms of filming. We still plan to do gaming content. That's not going anywhere. And we're gonna move more back into like Fortnite content. You know, like we used to do mini games, we used to do challenge videos. That kind of ended after Chapter 3. So we haven't really been doing it at all in Chapter 4, but we're gonna return to that. We're gonna return to that. Because obviously, one of the biggest problems about filming, at least in terms of the main storyline filming and doing mini games or role plays in general, is that Fortnite decided it was a good idea to get rid of the battle plot island. Like the creative battle royale island plot. I said that completely wrong the first time. But the creative battle royale island plot, they got rid of it at the beginning of Chapter 5, and Epic is on break, and they haven't added it back. So Life series has been on a pause. Filming for main storyline obviously has been on a pause, but even if we wanted to, we can't, even if we wanted to, because we don't have a creator code, we can't use custom matchmaking. So we rely on that, and that's gone. So we're at a standstill in terms of Life series, and if we wanted to do main storyline stream or filming. So yeah, Fortnite. I hope you fix that. Hopefully, if enough people complain about it, they'll fix it because they've been on top of their communication recently. What is there to expect? I would take a lot of what I announced in this video with not really a grain of salt. Obviously, don't get your hopes up if some of this stuff gets canceled. Don't get your hopes up in case some of this stuff gets canceled. So what is 100% confirmed is that you guys are gonna get 2 more films that are going over the main storyline, and then life series content, which you can find on other channels. Which, if you go to the NATO Productions channel, all of our channels are listed there. Like on the NATO Productions channel page, all of our channels are listed there. You can go see anyone's content, and they do life series mainly. I run the Swift Life series on the NATO Productions, but Swift Life is a different universe. It doesn't take place in the same universe or just in the same platitude as Life series does. Swift Life is meant to be a completely different series because it's a series where it takes the Life series concept but flips it. I'm the main character, and everyone else around me is running the story. So I don't know what's going to happen as the character Swift, and I play Swift and whatnot. So, speaking of Swift Life, that series is not over. We actually recorded 2 episodes recently. We had to change the direction of the series because CC was one of the main heads behind the story, and obviously he hasn't been around. So it's either we do a bit of a soft reboot, kind of, because we're moving CC, obviously. It's kind of picking up the scraps of what he left behind, and then trying to end off the season, which they've been doing a phenomenal job. You guys will see those episodes whenever they release. But yeah, it should expect more Swift Life, because that series isn't over. Expect those 2 films to come out, and you can expect more gaming content. All of the other production related things, obviously that takes time, that takes effort, it takes a lot of cooperation and a lot of patience, which is something that just does not exist sometimes. So all of that's up in the air. The future of the channels, all of that is all up in the air. So I mean, there's nothing really else I can say. But what I can say is that this is definitely the end of the video. Hopefully, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, comment down below any questions you have. We will answer them and comment down below whatever you want to see next. Happy New Year's, everybody. Merry Christmas, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.